I know you have inside details of IPL 2013 spot fixing. So please tell if it's true that Dhoni was protected by BCCI to safeguard his and
the Indian cricket team.
Okay. So Dheeraj is asking me about the 2013 spot fixing. Okay, yeah, I covered that very closely. It was one of the biggest news breaks that happened. I'll still never forget that, the day we got to know about it and all hell broke loose. We were just like, get to know that Srishant has been taken by the cops and flown to Mumbai. He was in Mumbai and I think flown from there to Delhi. And then, there was a big hangama. But he's getting to the point of, was Dhoni protected by the BCCI? Okay, let me just give you a short summary of what happened. Firstly, for you to say that Dhoni was protected by the BCCI, I think that's quite inaccurate and quite damaging to the reputation of a player. So what we do know is what happened at that time, because there was someone called Gurunath Mayappan who was involved, and he was of course the team director. Later it was proven that he was betting, not necessarily fixing. There was no evidence to suggest he was fixing matches, but that he was betting, and that in itself was against the rule. You cannot be, and it's much like insider trading, like in share market, and pretty much like that. So even in countries where it's legal to be doing betting, let's say the UK, US, wherever, sports betting is legal. Even there, players who are involved and even administrator, anyone who's involved with the franchise, and even their relatives, by the way, as an extension, cannot be betting. That's illegal because they have inside information. So that's illegal. So that was the issue in that CSK. And I'm only looking at CSK because I think that's what you're alluding to. That was the issue. So the guilty party there was Gurunath Mayappan, who was the team director. But there was nothing to suggest that Dhoni had any role to play in that. There is also nothing to suggest that any player at that time was paying heed to what Gurunath Mayappan is saying. And whatever we say right now, and a lot of people could be right in assuming that if the team director is doing it, who has so much of an influence on the team, then how will players not get influence? And that, but then, as I say again, that still remains an assumption. It's still conjecture. Till such time you can prove it, you really can't be pointing a finger at anyone. And so if you were to point a finger at Dhoni or any other player, then you are actually damaging his reputation without having an iota of proof. The only thing where I think Dhoni faltered in all of that was the fact that when he was there at that time, I think he was asked that, did you not know that he's team director? And he refused to acknowledge that he was the team director. And I think that's the only time where he did not really speak what the truth was. That was the only thing. Because, what CSK did as soon as that whole thing happened, saying that he's just a cricket enthusiast. That was their excuse, that he has no official role. As soon as you make him a cricket enthusiast and no official role, then you can quite smartly have him, escape any sort of punishment. That's what the narrative was. And if I remember correctly, in one of the press conferences, MS Dhoni was asked that, isn't he the team director? And he said, no, he's not. Okay. That's the only thing that probably you could criticize him for. But to suggest that he had any role to play in that, I've known MS Dhoni for a lot of reasons. I think he'd be the last guy who'd ever want to indulge in anything like that, right? A lot of us can like him, dislike him for the cricket that he may have played, decisions he may have taken. That's your personal opinion. But I will not go so far as to point a finger at any player till such time that I am in possession of documents or proof to say that he or she was involved. Yes, there was a close relationship that Gurunath Mayappan and Dhoni shared, but that was also because one is running the team and the other is the captain. But that because Gurunath Mayappan is betting, like let me give you an example. Like, me and let's say Siddharth, okay, we work in the same team. We'll of course have a close relationship as such. But if on the side I am, doing things which are outside the office, for example, I don't know, let's say just hypothetically, super chat money is coming in, and I'm quietly figured out a way that it does not go to the sports account, it comes to my personal account. I'm just top of my head just thinking. That doesn't necessarily mean that he would also know that such and such thing exists
or is happening.
He would know a lot of other things, but if I'm doing it behind his back, just because he knows us and we have an association here and we work on the same platform, he may not be knowing that I'm doing this. And so I guess, there was a lot of investigation that was done, a lot of things that was done, nothing was found out. Again, just the final piece of the puzzle, because you're saying there was a said envelope that had names of a lot of prominent Indian cricketers, and it was alleged, I repeat, you remember the word that I'm using, alleged. I'm not confirming it. I haven't seen that envelope. I haven't seen the names in that. Alleged that, MS's name may have been there. It was alleged. But I will tell you something which is confirmed. Those were wild allegations. Yeah. I spoke to people in the judiciary who were investigating much later, and they said that it's like tomorrow, anyone, I just write a letter and say, something about Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli and send it without any proof. The court cannot open it and say it till such time there is something concrete, because can you imagine the damage of reputation that it will cause to those players? Even if it's not true, just you mentioning it is not going to be fair. So I think the court did the right thing, did not open the envelope, did not say those names out, because I trust the people who were investigating the matter who said there were absolute wild allegations naming everybody. You can't do that. You just can't name anybody, and especially people of repute. Till such time there is enough evidence, substantial proof there, and so none of that was there against any of the CSK players. So I have no reason to doubt anyone. And as I said, specifically because you're asking about MS, I've known him over the years. He's a man of integrity. He's a man who's played hard cricket. I know how much he loves his country, how much he's done to, to do for his country on the field, and let's not discredit him for that. But the only other thing, the person who I thought did not deal with that situation really well was N. Srinivasan, who at that time was the board president and also owned the team. There was a clear conflict of interest, and it was his son-in-law was running the team, and the worst thing that the BCCI did was trying to protect him. He said that I will have my, he said no, I'm not going to remove him from that place. What he should have done ideally is, as soon as there are allegations, there's proof, and there was proof against him, you say he has to step down till the time the inquiry is over. Yeah. Then after a lot of pushing and shoving, because the media carried it up, he had no option but to ask him to step down. But then he constituted his own probe, his own friends, retired judges, he put them. First he put his own name in that inquiry committee. Srinivasan himself put his own name, which again is direct conflict, and then he said, okay, I'll remove, and then he got some of his old friends that he had. And you needed to set up an independent committee, and had he done it on his own at that time, had N. Srinivasan done that from the start and set up an independent committee to investigate the matter, things wouldn't have come to the stage that it did, that he was removed from president. The whole BCCI was changed. That was the catalyst, that was the starting point. It all because one man put his foot down in N. Srinivasan saying, I will not let you, I remember the word he used, bulldoze you.
Yes.
I won't let you bulldoze me off. I'm not going to be bullied by the media and so on. But I don't think the media was trying to bully him. The media was only trying to investigate. And he should have taken the right thing. Anyway, in the end, a lot of good came out of it. BCCI went through a churn. A lot of things changed. Some that were related to what was happening, some even beyond that, because once it's open to changes, once it's open to scrutiny, then the guys who are put in charge, former chief justices and so on and so forth, then they changed a lot of things in the BCCI, and a lot of those things are good in terms of your tenure, who can play, not, multiple states.
Cooling off period.
Yeah, a lot of things came into. So that's.
But that letter, it was an anonymous letter, you said, huh? That was during the.
Some person alleged and put some big cricketer's name that XYZ is. But hello, you can't just write those names and give it. You need to furnish some proof as well. And what would have happened? See, this is where the judiciary and all their experienced people. What would have happened even if they read that letter? Because a lot of time I remember the judges that were fighting the case said that, open that letter, and the judge refused to. It's not protecting those players, but as soon as you even take their names, all hell breaks loose, and there is a dent to their reputation without any proof.
Which is why such things are often given in a sealed cover.
Exactly. So that's why they did not, and I think they did the right thing. It was not protecting anyone. I think it was just following the norm.
Go up a bit further. I think there was one more.
That's as briefly or in a condensed manner that I could present that.